FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
This episode of the Financial Survival Network is brought to you in part by Sandstorm Gold Royalties. Sandstorm Gold Royalties is a different kind of gold company. They purchase royalties on select mining operations and receive a percentage of the revenue in return. Sandstorm now has a portfolio of over 185 gold royalties around the world. See how gold royalties differ from other gold mining investments at sandstormgold.com. That's sandstormgold.com. Sandstorm Gold Royalties trades on the TSX as SSL and on the New York Stock Exchange American as SAND.
Welcome, and you are listening to the Financial Survival Network. I'm Kerry Lutz, and today is 12/11/18. Well, less than 3 weeks left for an amazing year. What will 2019 hold? That is the question. Congress, the House of Representatives is going to be controlled by the Democrats at that point, and the fireworks are about to begin. Hey, if you want to contribute, pour a little gasoline on the fire, write us with your comments, your thoughts, kl@kerrylutz.com. Well, right now, with me is former Congressman John LeBoutellier. John, welcome back.
Thank you, Kerry. Always fun to be with you. Every month, it's the best time for me.
Hey, same here. So we had a little change of pace in Washington. The voters decided to mix things up, although you have to wonder how much of it was due to voter fraud, and vote harvesting, which seems to be a Democratic specialty.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, I think if you look at the overall numbers in the House, it was even beyond my prediction to you the last time I was on with you. When I said 25 to 35, it was 40 seats with one more sitting down there in North Carolina that will probably have to be reelected, redo it. And they won by 9 million votes nationwide for the House of Representatives. They won 7 governorships, 7 state legislatures, and 390 state legislative seats. That was a big, big wave for the Democrats, and we can't deny it. Now, it doesn't mean Republicans don't have areas of strength. Rural areas, red states, they're still very strong. But the majority of people voted anti-Trump this year. That's the plain fact of the matter, and Trump needs to clean his act up going into 2020 for the party and for himself.
So cleaning up his act, what does that consist of?
Well, he might try to win more voters over to our side instead of alienating people. I mean, here he's got a good economy and good things to run on. And what percentage of the vote did we get? 45%. That's crazy. We should be over 50% in a good economy with many good things happening. And the reason we're not is his toxic behavior overwhelms the good news from his administration. Should be the other way around. He shouldn't behave badly. He should behave well and lead the country and try to lead everybody and convince people that his way, the Republican way, is the right way. That's how you build a majority that can govern. We now have, for another 2 weeks, we still have a majority of the government, House, Senate, and White House, but can't seem to get much done with it. And we've frittered away 2 years of one-party rule, and we're about to enter a whole new era with the Democrats running the House and a hostile environment between them. And it's a shame that we're going that way, but it's the way we're going to go. It's not to mean that Trump can't do well with Democrats. Because prior to getting elected, he was a Democrat. He got along better with Democrats than he did with conservative Republicans. He supported Democrats. He gave more money to the Democrats than he gave to Republicans. If he puts that hat on and decides he wants to be a real deal maker, he can solve a lot of problems. He can do the healthcare thing and the immigration thing, and his base will let him do it because they believe in him. That's what you have a base for, to go farther beyond the base and make deals. And he can do it. I don't know that he will, but he can if he wants to.
Yeah, well, so he doesn't play well with others. In the meantime, he's still gotten more judges appointed than anybody else. Probably going to get one or two more Supreme Court judges. And they picked up seats in the Senate. That's the contradictory message here. How do you explain that? I mean, nobody's really explained it to my satisfaction.
Because we among red areas, he's very popular, and there were Senate seats won 6 years ago in the year of Obama's reelection in red states like Indiana and North Dakota and Missouri, which she had won that before, Claire McCaskill. But those are red states. Missouri's becoming more of a red state. And we did well in those red states. But that's it. We didn't do well in purple states. We're turning more states against us. We imagine the state of Barry Goldwater giving us a Democratic senator. Not good. Orange County, the heart of Ronald Reagan and Richard Nixon territory, going completely blue. They had to rename it from Orange County to Blue County.
Yeah, but there was massive ballot harvesting there. We know this for a fact.
Whatever. They won fair and square. All
fair
those
and
places.
Square the way they always win.
Yeah. You want to start saying when we lose, it's fraud. I don't buy it. Okay, I don't buy it.
I don't
it's
say
not.
that.
And it's the way it is. We also won seats in California. We didn't get everything ballot harvested out of power. We lost seats that we knew going in were going to be in trouble. Ice's seat, Rohrbacher's seat.
Yeah.
We've known for years those seats were trending purple.
Very true.
So it's not a surprise. And it was an anti-Republican year, which it would be in the first midterm anyway.
There's nothing new about that as well.
No.
But in a place like Maricopa County, they vote for the governor 325,000 votes higher. He wins by 325,000 votes in Maricopa, and then McSally loses by 350,000 votes. You can't tell me that many people split their ticket. I mean, we're in a...
That's exactly what they did. That's exactly what they did. What else do you call it? You really think they fraudulently messed around with 350,000 ballots? You believe that?
Oh, yeah. What about Florida here? John, look at what happened in Broward County and Palm Beach County.
Fraud.
Pure fraud.
They were voting against McSally. They were voting against her. She was all in for Trump, all in for... That unbelievable comment with 10 days to go when she's asked about pre-existing conditions. She said, people don't care about that. Let's talk about something they do care about. Let's talk about the caravan. Well, I know they care about the caravan, but to say that people don't care about pre-existing conditions was the one issue, healthcare, that showed up in every poll all over the country as still the top issue for people. Yeah. And we haven't gotten it right. It killed the Democrats in 2010 and 2014.
And it killed the Republicans,
and
rightfully.
It helped kill us this year.
Thank you, John McCain. But look, we talk about voter fraud here. I live in Palm Beach County, Florida. We got the videos here, John. They're finding provisional ballots in rental cars. I mean, they keep counting. Democrats specialize in late voting. All right. Don't tell me the system's not fraudulent and corrupted. It's been intentionally done that way. We've got zillions of illegals voting. Nobody will know.
Well, who runs Florida?
Hey, but no, it's the county level, John. You know that. The county registrar.
I know. But I mean, if Rick Scott, who got all upset after he won about it, he's been in office for 8 years.
Exactly.
I mean, why didn't he run around the state doing something about this thing before it happened again?
Because they don't really take it seriously, but they know it. Broward County, we have a history of voter fraud in Broward County. We have a history of voter fraud in Texas. We have a history of voter fraud in Illinois, where the dead regularly vote every 2 years. I mean, this is a problem with
Kerry, you're not going to get anywhere with this thing as a national issue. It's not working. Trump blew this stuff out and said, I'm going to appoint a voter fraud commission, and they found so little they had to disband themselves. Okay,
it's not states wouldn't
happening.
cooperate.
That is not why we lost 40 seats in the House.
I'm not
It's
saying
not.
all 40 seats, John. Don't get me wrong.
And it's
I'm
not
saying,
why Martha McSally lost. She ran a crummy campaign.
Well, that does happen,
She
but-
got on the wrong side of important issues. The governor, Ducey, was non-controversial, also had a 0 running against him,
and
which helps a lot.
Incumbent.
He's popular. She wasn't popular.
Hey,
So.
I'm just saying it's playing a big role here, needs to be addressed. I think there's too much uncertainty. Even if there is 0 voter fraud, there's enough uncertainty now that this system needs to be looked at and revamped. You need stricter controls on it, on who votes, where they vote, all these things. All these things were concocted by the Democrats. The Motor Voter Act, early voting, provisional ballots, really endangers the integrity of the system. And we know that elections are routinely stolen in this country, John. You just can't deny that. The facts are there.
That has happened, may happen. It is not what happened this year with 40 seats in the House.
I'm not saying all of them.
It's not.
I'm not saying all of them, but some of them definitely. There's ballot harvesting, which was legalized in California, and there's all sorts of things like that. And in Broward County and Palm Beach County and God knows how many other counties. And it's not just Democrats that do it. I mean, we've seen that there was the same witnesses on hundreds of ballots. I think it was in Georgia or North Carolina. And, they just keep counting and counting. So something's got to be done about it. So what about this caravan here? The wheels seem to have come off the caravan, haven't they?
Well, I think the caravan knows it can't get into America. So what's the point of the whole operation? They're going to be stuck in Mexico, which doesn't want them.
Yeah,
and the real key to stopping these things, along with sealing our southern border, is to have Mexico seal their southern border.
Exactly.
That would prevent this thing. And I don't know why they don't do it.
I think they're going
to. But they need to be induced to do it.
And Trump forced them to do this, to service these migrants. He really handled this thing kind of masterfully, because all of a sudden it's like, hey, nobody cares about illegal. No one in the continent, northern or North America or South America, care about it, because hey, they just go to America and they're America's problem. Now all of a sudden, all those wannabe migrants, illegal border crossers, all of a sudden they're Mexico's problem. And boy, things have changed dramatically. All of a sudden, the people in Mexico are unhappy. They're fighting these. There's riots, stoning these migrants, and so many. The migrants are all mostly single males of working age. I mean, they pretty much push the women and the children to the front of the line. But we know, just like the migrant hordes in Europe, they're mostly males of working age, a lot of criminals, a lot of deportees already. So maybe Trump is doing something right here. And I think now that it's Mexico's problem, you're going to see things change.
I hope that's the case. I agree with you. I think Trump has handled this one well by keeping them out and talking to the incoming Mexican government, which is now in, about doing something about it. I think that is good. Keep the problem from ever getting here in the first place. However, that is just one little part of the immigration problem. The main problem in illegal immigration is the people who come here legally and overstay their visas and never leave for student visas, work visas, vacation visas, whatever. They come here legally. They don't leave. They melt into the system. We've got probably 20 million people here illegally.
That's what they say now. Yeah,
and
22.
How many?
22 million was the updated.
22 million people. Yeah. Well, that's a lot of people. And we don't even know who they are, where they are, or anything. And we haven't done anything about that either. Well, we've done a little bit. I think we're tightening up on employers' responsibility to make sure they're hiring legal people, not illegals. Yeah. I think that is being stepped up. Doesn't get a lot of publicity, but I think it's having.
Yeah. Well, when you start rating major companies and they've got hundreds of illegals working there, we didn't know. You have E-Verify.
Ball.
Yeah, right. Of course, you knew, and you hired them because they were illegal, so you could pay less, and not a good thing. Hey, we got to talk about this woman from my former home state, your lifelong home state, who is basically made a virtue out of stupidity. And you know who I'm talking about, right?
I'm wondering which woman from New York is it?
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Ocasio-Cortez.
Yeah, John, I mean, I find that woman frightening. And not because I think she'll get any power or anything else, but the fact that the Democratic Party actually takes her seriously. And there's a portion of the population comprised probably wholly of millennials who think that she walks on water. I mean, look, in the good old days of the Democratic Party that wasn't corrupt to its core, and I'm not saying that the Republican Party isn't either, but, they would have laughed her out. No one would have taken her seriously. And now she's a prophet of government expansion and government largesse and government altruism to the population. I mean, it's it's just stupefying, John.
Well, here's the thing. She's gotten too big ahead too quickly. She's acting out inside the Democratic conference in the House, so it's reported. Mm-hmm. She's ticking off everybody there, except a few people, I'm sure, but most are saying, hey, who the hell is she? Mm-hmm. And she kind of won on a fluke against Joe Crowley, who didn't take it seriously. And the demographics of his district, he had the district next to where I was. His district changed unbelievably, and he couldn't forestall it. And so she's in. Yeah. And she's a socialist. And she does represent a part of that party that is socialist. Not all of them, but a big chunk of them. Mm-hmm. In the Iowa caucuses in 2018, 44% of Democratic participants in the caucus self-identified themselves as socialists.
Right.
So it's a big part of the left is the socialist thing, and she's in there with them. But I don't think I think they're going to quash her down a little bit. Yeah. I don't think she'll be running amok by next summer. Yeah. I don't think, but we'll see.
Yeah, she might be running amok, but she won't have any power. What is the least significant committee in Congress, in the House?
Is that where she's headed? I don't know.
I don't know what it is. I'm just curious. Is it the one that names monuments for dead politicians?
I don't know what that is, but they'll stick her on something to screw her over.
Yeah. It's like things have a way of working out, but the fact that she's at all taken the least bit serious is really disconcerting, John. I mean, I don't care, Republican, Democrat, whatever. It's irrelevant. It's the fact that anyone can listen to her for more than 5 minutes and think she has a brain in her head. That I find remarkable. It's like, hey, Al Sharpton is a major player in the media and the Democratic Party. How do you take that guy seriously?
The difference is Al Sharpton, who I know a little bit, is a very sharp guy. He is smart. He plays a shtick and all that, but this lady, I don't know her at all. I don't know if she's sharp. She's very young. She was, she won legit. She beat Joe Crowley, who was in the leadership. Yeah. She's got a safe seat. So you got to take her somewhat seriously, but she's only one out of 230 something. So I wouldn't spend all my time on her.
What about Mad Max Waters there? You know her. I mean, how do people take that woman seriously?
I don't know her. I know people also who do know her, say that she is a much sharper. Trump running around saying she's low IQ. Maxine Waters is ridiculous. She's very sharp, but she's very anti-Trump, which is what's gotten under his skin. He'd have been better off never even mentioning her. Why elevate her beyond her stature, which is a fringe player in the Democratic Party?
Yeah, voted the fourth most corrupt member of Congress, and she's just done so many things. She should have been ejected from the body. Why do they put up with this? Why do they allow these people who are really corrupt to the core to just hang around? Like, I know Menendez got reelected, but why should they seat him? I mean, when the guy is this corrupt, how do they justify it, John?
Well, if he'd been convicted, he would, of course, be out.
Yeah.
He wasn't convicted. I don't know what grounds they would throw him out after you're reelected. The people of the state have spoken. There was the same talk a year ago. If Roy Moore had won that seat in Alabama, would McConnell and the majority Republicans, would they have seated him or not? And during that argument, it came out pretty clearly that they almost had no choice but to seat him.
Yeah, well,
if you win the election, you get seated. Now,
so that trumps all.
Then you can have an ethics committee investigation, and if you come up with enough to trash the guy, you can do it. But
yeah.
In Maxine Waters' case, I don't know that she's ever been found guilty of anything.
There's so much stuff, though. They've got the smoking guns, everything on her. It probably just was a beneficiary of the corrupt Obama, Department of Justice. Probably why she wasn't indicted, but I mean, interceding on all these agencies on her husband's behalf, and he was a board member of a bank, and all these things, getting TARP money for that bank.
Well,
it's just
that probably the Black Caucus probably says to the Democratic leadership, you touch her and you lose us.
And that's corrupt. That's totally corrupt.
Yeah.
I mean, you're supposed to stand for something other than your party and other than the raw, crass attainment of power. But that's what the parties have come down to, haven't they?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's why the country hates both parties, and
rightfully so.
I thought since I became an adult that we were headed towards a day when we would elect an independent president who ran against both parties and says, the mess this country's in was brought to you by both parties, not just by one, but by both. And if you want to save the country, we got to throw them both out. And at some point, Kerry, that's going to be a popular message. We may be headed in that direction.
It's kind of what Trump did, but he co-opted the Republican Party.
He did.
But
he could have done it. He almost could have done it as an independent. He was viewed as an independent. He morphed himself into like a born-again Republican conservative, which I don't really think he is. But he says he is, so that's what he is. But in his whole life, he never was. And
when you look at the judges that he's appointing, there's some really good ones there, high caliber people that really believe in the Constitution. When you look at the people he's appointed and the regulatory rollback, I mean, that's out of the purported Republican playbook. Of course, they never did it when they had power, which is one of the reasons why everyone hates them, right? But he's really ruled more like a Republican president than anything else.
Yeah, I take one exception. I mean, Reagan did the same thing. Reagan rolled back regulation. Reagan put in conservative judges. He put in the first woman Supreme Court justice, first, obviously, Republican, Sandra Day O'Connor. He did all that. It's not that it's never been done.
Not to the extent.
It wasn't done by the Bushes. That's the difference. They didn't do it. That's the establishment Republicans that caused the creation of the Tea Party to come up, because they got power, especially the second Bush. He had a Republican House and Senate, and he goes and he starts spending money like crazy, creating a new entitlement, prescription Part D of Medicare.
Exactly.
And runs up the deficit like crazy. Now, the same thing's beginning to happen here. The debt is growing. The deficits are growing. Trade deficits are growing. Everything's growing. And Trump is running around telling people in private, well, when it comes due, I won't be here. That's not good. You've got to be responsible for now and try to turn the direction of the spending problem around. That's what he ought to be doing.
Yeah. And he has a lot of power, many of them untested, to really just kick out a lot of the spending and not do it. I mean, I know the Impoundment Act and all that got upheld once upon a time by the Supreme Court, but his ability to not spend money that he believes is wasteful, he's got power there, but he's never exercised the power, and no president
It ended up being a count of impeachment against Nixon for impoundment of funds. So I'm not sure I would go that route. The better way is to work with Congress, especially when you had a Congress of your own party. I mean, yesterday it was in the news. Mattis, Secretary of Defense Mattis, has recommended a defense budget for the coming year, $733 billion. Trump overrules and says, I want it to be 750. So Trump's
like
asking
Reagan
for
years.
more than the Defense Department's asking for.
That was like the Reagan years. That's what brought us $500 hammers and $1,000 toilet
there you
seats.
go.
I mean, the amount of waste.
Well, that was already going on. That stuff's going on all the time. It's terrible, but
it's half waste. Half waste, the budget on all counts. So, all right. So Trump's not the solution. We're waiting for the solution to come along. And,
Well, what I'd say about Trump? To his credit, he identified a lot of problems. Mm-hmm. He has not come up with the solution to the problems, and he is not the solution, but he did a great job. The first thing we talked about today, immigration. Yeah. He's the first guy to run for president on immigration. Correct. No one ever ran on this before. They ran away from it. Mm-hmm. He made it front and center, and it's still front and center. But after 2 years, you gotta get it done. Let's get some solutions on the table and make it happen.
Yeah, well, I think, it's still early, and you never know what's going to happen. If we learned one thing over the past couple of years, John, you don't know what's going to happen next in this administration, in this world. I mean, I really wanted to talk to you about France, about what's happening in Paris. My son was actually there and witnessed his first riot, luckily at a safe distance. And, it's pretty remarkable what's happening there, that everybody has turned on this poor Macron, who is a lightweight, who really wasn't up for the task, and anybody could see that. But now they've turned on him. Everybody hates him. The right hates him. The left hates him. I mean, he's universally reviled. And how much longer is this guy gonna keep on going here, huh?
Well, he's got a 6-year term, so there's a long way to go for Macron. But Macron, in light of what we just talked about, he ran as an outsider against both establishment parties in France, got elected, created his own party, got that party elected in their parliamentary elections, and started off pretty well and has really deteriorated in the polling this year and has gotten on the wrong side of this thing. He raised taxes among the middle class, and that's just set them off. Mm-hmm. And underneath all of it, like there is in England and here and Germany, immigration is in energizing anger by the middle class towards the establishments. The end of Angela Merkel. Yeah. It's the Brexit thing really wasn't Brexit so much as anti-immigrant. Trump was heavily anti-illegal immigration. And France is riddled with it. And it's taking down the establishment in each one of them. So true. So true. So I wish we had some more time to really cover these issues. But just tell us, where do we find your blog these days, John? JohnLeBout.com. JohnLeBout. JohnLeBout.com. All right. And as always, we'll have a link to it in the show notes to this interview. And make sure you go send us an email, kl@kerrylutz.com. We answer all. Twitter feed @KerryLutz. Facebook page, Financial Survival Network. And if you're listening on YouTube, then please subscribe, like, and share us. If you're listening on any number of websites or you download the show, please share it with somebody else who you think might find it fun and entertaining and interesting. Just remember, it's all about next. John, we'll talk to you again next month. Be well, my friend, and Merry Christmas. All right, Happy New Year. Talk to you next year. That's right. 2019. Thanks, okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.